All right. Good evening, y'all. Today is Tokyo Revengers episode 6, Regret. I broke my list down into about 4 categories today, but just to start this shit off, I just want to say I got to give it up to these niggas. 1 second for the water to break. Hold on. Motherfucking dry mouth and shit. Anyway, I got to give it up because this shit is, all I can say is wavy. And this is my first point, by the way, wavy in both the sense of the construction of the show itself and the way it blends, as well as, of course, the designs of the characters. But just to get into the character design, I believe they do like these little subtle things so far with Takemichi himself, because what I've noticed, as long as he's not in school, he's not necessarily wearing the same outfit every fucking episode, right? And you would have to say, well, of course, at school he wears a uniform, but on outside, we've seen him wear like the Las Vegas shirt. We've seen him wear, I think, a shirt today. It said rock on it or whatever the hell. We've seen him wear glasses in disguise, of course, disguise and shit. But they're not afraid to tweak with his design. And it has me curious to see his development in pretty much all aspects of it, as well as his exterior and interior. How does his mind change? Because the deeper he gets into this gang, of course he's gonna have to start looking the part. All his motherfuckers is dripped out. Everyone in Toman is dripped the fuck down. We got Draken with his tattoo, got that shit at like 15 or whatever the fuck. Or in the 5th grade, I think. Hold on, bro. But anyway, like, as I was saying, bro, I'm curious to see how they toy with that aspect of the show. Is there gonna be a point where the character design starts to change for Takemichi as he gets more heavy into the game, as he maybe starts to commit crime? Because eventually he's going to have to do some shit that he probably doesn't even agree with, or else he'll get exposed as being some type of weirdo or whatever the fuck. Are you really down with the motherfucking Toman? We've seen how Mikey talked to Draken, like, dog, are you going up against me? Ain't no backing down. We've seen that type of shit. So I'm not seeing it as a possibility where Takemichi has to keep his hands clean. So, like I said, I want to see how his character itself starts to change, and does it change his psychology? We know he's a grown man going back in time and hanging out in middle school once again, but does he start to morph into something like on some semi like Spider-Man in his black suit type shit? Does he become this different type of person, and does that affect him going into the present as well? Does Naoto start saying, dog, you starting to act like a motherfucking criminal and shit? Does it, or does, since he gets tattoos, like, does he get tattoos back then and then comes back in time as a motherfucker? Like, does, you know what would be crazy? He goes back in time, he has like this crazy ass reputation, or he starts to build it up, because we know his self still lives on in the past. So we've seen him do crazy shit, such as almost sleeping with Draken's girl, or whatever the fuck, the love interest of Draken. And it's probably not something he would do as the 24-year-old self. But imagine him going into the present and then all of a sudden having tattoos and shit. And he's like, yo, what the fuck? Yo, I went to jail. Like, he has a criminal record and shit. So it'd be dope to see what the fuck exactly happens and how his character design starts to change itself. Now, as far as the construction of the show, once again, they do this thing, and I'm starting to fuck with it, and I want to see if it carries on, because it seems like they have this mission aspect of it. So in today's episode, we are giving the recap. You know, Mikey and shit hanging out at the restaurant, heading on to like meet up with the gang. At the very end of the clip, before we get into the theme music, Takemichi reminds us, I have to stop this whole altercation between Mebius and Toman. What the fuck, bitch? You know, Chinese motherfucker trying to pull up on me. Hold on. Nigga, I've never seen a woman walk to the car by almost getting into my car and then heading it. That's crazy. But everything pretty much blends. So we got the recap. We get the statement of what is the point of the show going to be. And then we get back into the investigation. Once, like I said, in a mission-like aspect where... And I'm also starting to notice, like, of course, there's this big goal at the end of the day. Like, let's save Hina. Let's save Akun. And then let's save Draken. But it seems as if each episode itself almost has a mission. It has its own point that aids the bigger story. But, you know, like I said, you're not necessarily... Like me, I kind of forgot. Like, oh, shit, I forgot we got to save these bitches that die. I'm just so engulfed in the story and the characters and meeting all these motherfuckers and shit. And we figuring out what we got to go on investigations, who's setting up who, and all that type of shit. So sometimes I get lost, like, oh, these niggas, some of these niggas don't even exist no more. Some of these niggas is dead. That nigga hopped off a roof. This bitch got hit by a fucking big rig, you know, so shit like that. On to my second point, we have Draken's backstory. This was an interesting one because I'm starting to think about the evolution of Draken himself since we've been introduced to him. And in the beginning, we just see him as this, like, first of all, when I first peeped the motherfucker, he had that ponytail, he had the gold blonde, whatever the fuck, the all black fit, and the tattoo. And I was like, yo, this nigga dripped the fuck down. This nigga looked sauce. But he was like an asshole. So it's kind of like, oh, he's just probably going to be like an antagonist. He's going to be like some type of fucking asshole. Maybe Takemichi gets his ass whooped by him every fucking now and then. Maybe he's the bully or something, right? But then we start to unravel his character. We find out that he has some type of morality within him. Respect for elders and shit like that, and he's pretty much a good guy for this, you know, for being a fucking goon. He's a, you know, he's on the better end of the spectrum of being a tough guy, right? So then when we get into his backstory, I feel like they was playing with my emotions in the sense of, are we gonna see this nigga die? Are we starting to get this backstory just to be like, so we could get an impactful moment of his death? Because, and I thought that was cool too, because usually when you get a backstory, it's more of an introductory type of thing. It's more of, oh, this is who this person is, and all right, this is him now. Now he's living his story throughout the motherfucking anime. This one, I was kind of like, yo, what the fuck? Is Takemichi gonna save you, bruh? Like, as I'm watching this little nigga live in a brothel and whatnot, his mom left him and shit, these hoes trying to jack him up before he go to school. So that's what had me thinking. Like, it pretty much increased the stakes of Takemichi's mission. Save Draken. Let's stop this fucking altercation from going down. But like I said, my whole question about it was, are we getting more information about him to say goodbye, or are we getting this information so we could watch him continue to evolve? And then we get hit with my third point, bro, the loop. Now, this is where I started to get confused. This is when we got a lot of the fucking information on the possible setup or whatever the fuck happened between the Mebius gang and, they keep saying the Majin gang. They keep saying, am I saying Majin gang or is it Toman? I don't know. One might be Boruto. I don't know, nigga. Something, they got gangs all throughout Japan all of a sudden. But the whole loop of confusion for me began when we meet Asanai, and that's the fucking washed-ass construction worker who used to be a fucking gang leader once upon a time. And they have this meeting with him at the diner. He pretty much breaks down. He's like, look, man, we didn't kill the motherfucker. And it seems as if the regret is maybe on his end. Maybe that's a day he regrets because, like, he explained that they were being used this whole time. Like, they never had that, they were never the ones behind the killing, but they were used to create this rift between the Toman gang itself. And after an altercation that they had, that is when some altercations between within the Toman started to happen, right? My whole thing is, who the fuck is gonna set up these middle school kids? And I just don't get it, bro. Like, all I need to know is, like I said, this is where it all got confusing for me. And maybe it's because I'm thinking about it too realistically as opposed to being an anime, where it's like, who the fuck is gonna... First of all, it was like some high schoolers beating up some middle schoolers, raping the bitch who was in middle school. So it's like a whole bunch of fucking crazy ass crimes going down. I thought these niggas was like older. It turns out they're only 2 years older than the fucking Toman gang, and they were doing all this crazy shit. But let me get back into my list because I'm starting to go fucking crazy. And within this point where Takemichi learns the information and goes back in time to kind of stop this altercation, it made me kind of think like, oh shit, is Takemichi going to be written in as the reason why they had the altercation in the first place? Because there was a disagreement between Draken and Mikey, where Mikey was like, look, they challenged us, I'm not backing down. And I think that has to do with like his height. Like, I believe he probably has a little man syndrome, even though he do got them hands. I think that's a big key. He's like, what? It looked like he's like 4 feet compared to Draken, who's like 6 foot tall. But he doesn't want to back down. Draken's a little bit more open to hearing Takemichi out. So I was starting to think, oh, is this where the rift begins? Is this Takemichi's fault? Then we get Mebius, whatever the fuck you want to call them niggas. They pull up. But just to get back into the point of Takemichi trying to stop this whole thing from happening, if there is any type of internal setup, my number one list, and this is bleeding into my fourth point, but my thought of who's the traitor has to be Pa Chin, and it's mainly because he was getting really defensive as soon as Takamichi started talking about this being a setup to take down Tomon. Of course, he did have a friend who was involved in the whole beating and whatever the fuck, but it's just like the way he reacted. I feel like he's one of the keys to the trading. Maybe it's a larger gang who's interested in the territory where Toman operates. So it would be like a larger gang getting another gang to kind of mingle in the business of the Toman and then getting them to separate. And then maybe, all right, now we're going to sneak in and we're going to start doing these deals and working our way through there. Or it could just be like some other time traveler we haven't even met. Maybe Kisaki, because he was on that rooftop with Akun and Takamichi. He overheard every fucking thing. But my thing is, why? See, there's some things we still don't know. Who the fuck is a traitor? Why did Akun push Takamichi into that tram? What the fuck is going down? That's pretty much it. So I have this episode, and it was like a real quick one. It felt quick. The experience of watching this shit felt pretty fast. But I'm just wondering who the fuck did it. My money, if I had to bet, it's on Pa Chin, just because of how, like, he was instantly throwing them fucking hands. As soon as Takamichi was like, no, dog, don't listen to it's a setup, bruh. Let's not do this shit. It's a fucking setup. So, we'll see. If there's a way I think Takamichi gets out of it, I think the key's going to be through Osanai. Maybe he talks to Osanai of the future, but I think he can't leave this situation. I don't know how the fuck he's going to do it. Does he shake his hand? Does he say something crazy and shake his hand and then they get in on it and like, look, this is your way out, bruh. Your life fucking sucks right now. You're getting yelled at by your construction. Like, you came back from lunch on time and niggas is calling you a bitch ass nigga and a lazy ass bum. So I think Osanai's gonna have to get on with the investigation, but how it happens, I don't know. That's my money. Pa Chin is a fucking traitor, I think, and we'll see what the fuck happens. So peace.